My topic today is privacy in relation with privacy. Certainly. My name is Sylvain Desharnais. Okay, the match plan is we'll have a short introduction, definition of privacy, jurisprudence, what privacy spheres are, what privacy landmarks are, criteria for privacy, nature of bribery, and what anti-bribery has to do with privacy. That may be the longest slide. Lot of things in my career, so I will make it short. I have a background of accountant, and I worked for Canada Revenue Agency for 20 years. And I was a regional informatics investigator during the last 15 years, let's say. And I'm pensioned, but not retired, of course. I'm teaching in 2 universities and train people when I have the occasion to do so. So I wrote 1 book in French and some articles for Thomson Reuters. They're available online. I'm seeking presently a master's degree in computer forensic. So today, well, I'm not, of course, a philosopher. I'm not an informatician as well, not a sociologist, not a lawyer. I firmly believe in privacy and that everyone has to pay a fair share to the society he lives in. Okay, so that's it. We're going to proceed with, okay. Definition of privacy. Privacy is a difficult thing to define without referring to right to privacy, intrusion in privacy, or well, all the concepts surrounding privacy. So Ron and Brandeis in 1890 wrote an article and they defined what they called the right to be let alone. Of course, I cannot agree with this only definition. It's only a part of what privacy is. More is saying that we can do a descriptive definition or a normative definition. But the definition he's giving are mainly oriented on right to or condition of privacy. We can have a look at what the law are saying. Mainly in the Civil Code of Quebec, Article 35, that states that every person has a right to the respect of his reputation and privacy, and no one may invade the privacy of a person without his consent. We can refer to the Charter of Rights that is saying that everyone has a right to life and liberty. Privacy is something like, well, part of the life is private life. And part of privacy is the freedom to make use of your private information or private person, make use of what you want to use it for. Speaking of Professor Lemont Langlois, he sees privacy as a currency. He means it's no longer a right in the classical sense of the word. It has become an adjustable quantity with different relative values for individual, states, and private enterprise. What he means by that is simply that you can go online and they are asking you access on your cell phone. They are asking you access to your photographs, to your address book, and so on. And you will have to accept if you want to install the software on your cell phone. So you exchange a part of what you are for a service that you want to take advantage of. So it's a kind of a currency. And Andrew Lewis was saying, if it's free, you're the product. And definitely, in the case of software installed on your cell phone, particularly, or some freeware on your laptop or computer, it's typically the case that you're the product. So they will grab your data and they will make a treatment, and they are not all protecting your privacy at all. So they're not anonymizing the data. They're simply making it available to everyone that is paying for. Nadeau, quoting Professor Weston, determines that there are 4 physical and psychological components to privacy: isolation, intimacy, anonymity, and the right to reserve your private things for yourself. Okay. Difficult to define privacy? Yes. Lemieux is referring to fictional privacy and Facebook user. So when you're having a Facebook account, you're dropping information of yourself in the account. So it becomes available. Sometimes you're restricting the access to your family, to your friends, but sometimes you're wide open to the public. So it's a fictional privacy at the end, because your information are available for anyone that can come in your perimeter of privacy. Gilles Michel Wilmet, who is a psychiatrist, a friend of mine. Everyone knows that I'm crazy. So he sees privacy. No, he's a teacher in Polytechnique, where I teach as well. Okay, so Gilles Michel sees privacy as juxtaposition, thank you, of concentric circles of intimacy. So there are things that someone will accept to deliver to, let's say, I have something that I will accept to tell to my wife, but that I will certainly not tell to you, okay? So it's a kind of, you're doing a segregation of information that you will deliver to people around you. So there's a notion of degree here. Altman is saying that there are contradictory interests. The thing is, there are some information where you will put restriction of access, and there are other information where you will seek interaction with people. It's very natural for human being to try to have an interaction, a social interaction, okay, where social, I would say, social beings. So it's necessary for a human to be in contact with humans. My own definition is simply that privacy is made of aspects of self that one is legitimated to preserve for his exclusive use or in order to create or maintain moral comfort. Still, it's not a perfect definition. I can see some flaws because we're trying to make a neutral definition, and it's quite difficult. Privacy spheres, these one were defined by were not defined but accepted or referred to by the Supreme Court of Canada. So what I'm saying is that spheres are surrounding human beings. Three kind of spheres: territorial, the office where I work, or the house I'm living in, or the bus seat where I sit when I commute. Okay, this is my territory. I'm standing here presently. This is my territorial place. Okay, there are some peripheral, personal sphere, my blood, the trace I'm leaving on the glass when I drink, or the information when I say I'm 61 years old. This is an information, okay? It's not a secret. It's not a shame as well. Okay, property of these spheres. These properties, well, these spheres are omnipresent. It's not something that we can put aside when I go to bed, or something that I can get rid of. It's something that is there and that stays there around me. It's something that is immutable, that cannot change, something that I have since the moment I was born to the moment of my death. It's not something that can be sold, traded, bargained, seized, taken away, transferred, or exchanged. Though Professor Lemon-Langlois was saying it was a currency, it's not something that I can exchange. The reason why I'm saying this is on the day you're giving a part of your privacy or private information to the software you installed, you have as many privacy that you had the moment before, okay? So it's not something that you can spend, okay? Okay. Where are we? Oh, this one, I jumped over this one. The first mention of the word privacy was in 1913. Remember that Warren Brandeis were in 1890. The problem with Peters and Sinclair, it was a fight over a piece of land where Sinclair was walking in a regular manner day and night. And Sinclair was mad about this because he bought the piece of land. So he was suing Sinclair for this. And this was the first reference to the word privacy in the Supreme Court of Canada. Jurisprudence does not define what is privacy. Unfortunately, they're doing the same as every person that is trying to define what privacy is exactly. In the case, the Queen versus Edwards, they're saying that people have reasonable expectations of privacy, and that these expectations must be evaluated based on all the circumstances. And there are some criteria that they are mentioning, like the presence of the person at the time of search. In Edwards, it was a man that was hiding drugs to his girlfriend's apartment, okay? So the policeman made a search. Well, they went to the girlfriend. They asked to come in and search for the drug. And the girlfriend accepted. So this search was declared legal at the end because the guy was not there at the time of search. This was not his apartment. He was there on and off. And there was no reasonable expectation of privacy in there. And the case in Edwards, they refer to a report that was made in 1972. Please remember that the Charter of Rights was adopted in 1972, okay? So in this report, they were talking of privacy and computers. In 1972, computers were, well, PC were on some desk of some office, but not on all the desk of all the employees. So it was a pretty advanced, something that was very hot at that time, okay? So they were determining the three spheres I was talking about, so territorial, personal, and informational. In Morelli, which is a more recent case, the judge said that a computer search is intrusive, extensive, or invasive of one's privacy. Okay, just think to your own cell phone, or is there someone here that doesn't have a cell phone? Okay, just think what would happen, how you would feel if I go to you and force you to give you your cell phone, to give me your cell phone, so that I can examine what is in your cell phone. What would I discover? Okay, how would you feel? So this is why the judge said in Morelli that a search, because a cell phone mainly is a computer, it's a small computer, okay? And it's definitely the most invasive thing you can live. Okay, this slide and the next one, privacy landmarks. Okay, I was saying that spheres were something that you cannot break in. It's something that should be preserved. So how can we justify to grab information from that sphere? It's simply that I put it as landmarks. There are events or facts or circumstances that are making that you can be allowed as a legal representative that will allow you to have a look inside the sphere. These circumstances, I call these privacy landmarks, and they come from my experience in digital investigation. What are they? I will give you, instead of defining each one of these items, I will simply mention an example. So if I'm referring to broadcasting level, think of someone that works, well, he's the employee of someone, but he's declaring that he has a backache and that he will take a sick leave. So he's doing this, but while he's doing this, he's constructing a deck in the back of his house. It may seem a little bit ridiculous, but the guy is putting this on his Facebook account. Look at how I did in one day because I took a sick leave to do this. Okay, that seems ridiculous, but this happened more than one time, okay? So the unemployment insurance, it's quite regular that they have cases like this, okay? Or insurance company that are looking at how people are spending their time when they are on sick leave. Obvious will to display privacy. Instead of putting this on Facebook, I come back the morning after, and while I'm taking a coffee break with my pals, I'm saying, oh, hey, have a look at the photographs I took of my backyard thing, okay? So, general digital hygiene, it comes from a case we had. It was a lady that was doing income taxation report. And when we searched the place, we found the taxation report. Well, she was not declaring the fees she was charging to her clients. And we found the reports, but it was there were photographs of her daughter marriage and babies and all that stuff, all in the same directory. So she was complaining that we were breaching in her privacy. I'm sorry, but if you put everything together, you have to separate your private life from your business life, okay? So this is what I call general digital hygiene, because you're not giving me a chance to seize only the taxation report. The objective right to secret, that's easy. Health report. You're receiving report from the medical lab, on your email personal address. I'm doing a search in your computer. Well, this one is particularly private. Okay. Relationship with the bad action. So, the example, I'm beating my wife. Okay, so yes, of course, I will say this to, let's say, to my son through my personal email or through a texto. Well, I'm sorry, but the infraction is private, okay? So it's related to the bad action. Legal depository, who is the owner of the device or the owner of the data? We see this sometime when it's stealing information from the employer, for instance. Differential usefulness is simply what does the information brings, how many information, how important the information is to seize the, let's say, the full hard drive, or to seize only the one file, the relevant file. Okay, what's the difference in evidence strands? The obvious intention to deliberately make justice inefficient. There was this man that was giving all the reports he was writing to his lawyer in order to protect the information from being searched. So he was deliberately putting justice aside by using the secret the lawyer has to keep on his things. And the inadvertent broadcasting. The person whom privacy is intruded received the National Defense Operation Plan by mistake. This happened to me once. Are these a perfect or a complete list? No, but this can give you idea what we're looking for when doing a search. Okay, John Rawls was a justice philosopher, very popular, and he's saying absolute liberty does not exist. So I may look like someone that is posing that we cannot, absolutely not intrude in privacy, but it's not the case, okay? When we go into private things of people, we have to explain why we are doing this. So Rawls is saying absolute liberty does not exist, of course. One liberty may contradict another. The objective is coherent system of liberties. Basic liberties protect fundamental interest having a particular importance. The question is, how important is privacy for us? In Canada, I think very important. What is part of privacy and what is not? What is the relationship between privacy and anti-bribery? Okay. You can call this criteria, if you wish. Claimer of privacy is a human being, existence, there is a link between the claimer and the object of the claim. So if I'm claiming privacy on an information, I must demonstrate that there is a link with me. The object of the claim is part of at least one sphere of the claimer. This link is of emotional nature. Of course, if I have a look in your cell phone again, how do you feel? Do you feel like, nah, that's okay? Or if you feel like you want to just attack me and recover your cell phone, you see? So this is emotional. This link is specific to the claimer. Either it's a very private information or a very private territorial or personal thing, or it's something that I can share with some other people, but I have a special link with this particular thing compared to the other people. Okay. Nature of bribery. Yeah, fraud is a human endeavor, and it involves some desire somewhere. So when we're referring to a bribery, I have a very bad memory. Okay, this is why I'm... So, bribery is by essence a crime where two or more accomplices are coming to a private agreement on secret conditions related to the execution of an action in order to achieve mutual benefits from it. Okay. The important word is private. And you cannot have a computer search on a bribery accusation without infringing this right to privacy. It's impossible, okay? Basically because it's a private agreement between a team members, okay? I'm speaking of corruptions A, B, C, D, E. It's something, okay. A, B, C, D, E is alcohol, butts, I mean sex, currency, drugs, and ego. Okay, that's the A, B, C, D, E of corruption. And corruption is a cost to other people. It's something that you take from other people. Okay, you're making a plot to seize that money somewhere. So Olson is stating that the person doing bribery must have the opportunity and experience the pressure or the incentive, and they do rationalization. By rationalization, of course, we don't mean the fact that he will fire 10% of the employees, okay? Or reduce the expense of the company. We're meaning that the person will put very good reason to his action. He will be able to justify that this action took place, why he did that, okay, all the time. So to avoid bribery, you must create ethical environment supported and endorsed by leaders. And like Anders said in the presentation just before mine, you have to create some kind of a readiness. I mean, you have to constantly fight anti-bribery. Even if you don't see sign of it, you have to put in place measures. Personally, I would say that the boss, the chief of the company, must give their staff better option than cheating. Sometimes it's just modifying the incentive structure, and sometimes it's just modifying the rules of acquisition. Okay, I saw this in Revenue Canada, where people for some time, let's say 10 years ago, were splitting the invoice. We're doing split invoice. Like, I'm buying something that's worth $12,000, so I will do a first acquisition of $8,000 and then a second one of $4,000. That's illegal, of course. But for a couple of years, this one was a strategy that was very common. Pardon?
That happened in the CRA.
Yes, it did happen for some time. But these people were like, well, they were told to stop doing this, okay? So just a little slap on the hand, and they were examined closer after this. Bribery is a white-collar infraction. I pretend that anti-bribery faces the same issues as fiscal crime. So what I mean by that is most of the evidence we're gathering on the computer are evidence of intention. But the more we go, the more we see that evidence of action are there as well. So because bribery is a private team-created infraction, you will have to dig into the computers, into these evidence, well, into this privacy. And you will not be able to say that, oh, it's private, I will not examine this thing. So you will have to go through it. I'm just stating a short procedure. What if I fall on, well, on every artifact, every file, every piece of information I will go through, I will ask myself, is it something that is private based on the criteria I set? And is it belonging to the person I'm looking in his computer? Is it part of a privacy sphere? Is there some landmarks that were moved or that can be moved, and how they can be moved? And I will evaluate the expectations of privacy in this situation. Well, I was just presenting some concept of privacy. You see, it's, as I told you, I'm presently doing a master's degree in computer science, and in a particular field which is security and privacy. And this particular thing is what are the traces we can find on a sport watch when the information went through the watch to the cell phone to the website. What can we find on this watch? And we're still at the beginning of it, but I think that we can find many because computers are very speaking. So you will have to determine how far you can go into one's privacy, and you will have to explain what you did and why you did it. That's the main use of the tool. Question? Was I clear enough?
In today's digital world, and is there any privacy anymore? It's an open question.
The young generation, like my son is 25 years old. Whoops, private information. Okay. They are more aware of this problem, and they're retaining more information. For instance, he's a geek, eh? He's a geek, like programming and all that stuff, and giving advice to his father, oh, you should do this or do that, okay? And he's good. But he has a flip phone, okay? And the reason why is, why do I need an intelligent cell phone? I just want a phone to make a call or to receive an SMS. That's it. Is it possible to have full privacy? No. If you don't appear somewhere in some database, you do not exist. So every one of us, very probably, we are all mentioned somewhere in civil database to manage how many Quebecers are in Quebec and so on. So who's registered to health security and so on. So is it still possible? Oh yes, maybe. We have to go maybe somewhere northwestern Quebec in Abitibi and get lost in the wood and lose your cell phone and but if you live in Montreal, no, forget it. You just have, let's say you have your cell phone, you're crossing the street just in front of the Palais des Congrès here. There are Internet of Things box at each corner downtown Montreal, okay? So each time you're going from a street corner to the other, the Internet of Things is just pinging your cell phone. Cell phone is answering, okay, because it's all Bluetooth, okay? So the Internet thing is pinging your cell phone. The cell phone is answering. My name is 1234, and I'm belonging to Sylvain Desharnais, and the box is saying, okay, Sylvain Desharnais is corner of René Lévesque and Jeanne Mans. Okay, I was there. Okay, so no, I think it's not possible. But the main thing when you're doing an investigation is to be conscious of this and make sure that every item you're looking at must be evaluated, keeping in mind that you cannot go too far into this privacy. If it's not related to the case, just drop it off. How many cases I saw with well, seizing computer of a man and seeing photographs of the wife in a very delicate position, okay? If it's not part of the case, you will certainly not passing it to the investigator, of course. So it's a matter of discretion here. But this privacy thing is so important, you see. The presentation will be available on PECB. There's the mediography. I thank you very much for your attention.